Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most OP fire battle mage build in Oblivion Remastered. So there's some ways that we can actually optimize this to give some weaknesses to damage types to the enemies here. You can see if you combined fire and lightning there, you can make this cool ability that gives you a both shocking appearance as well as fire. If you combine it with frost, it doesn't actually get this cool ability, but we can combine this with a bunch of different spells to give ourselves a massive amount of damage, applying the weaknesses to different magic types. So combining spells like this one here that gives weaknesses to both magic and fire, we can stack up and basically one-shot most enemies because of the way that magic resistance and weaknesses work. And also combining different elemental damage types like this fireball or this fire over time, it can be really powerful. So if we're going to use this, like we can cast this on this target here and then swap to our other magic like the fire here and just do a ton of damage with it. So fully recommend going at it with this because you can see there it's just burning through his health really quickly, and after it wears off it's not as powerful. You can also apply this to daggers so that you can constantly be applying weaknesses to elemental damage types, and then you can just back off and cast spells at the targets. So this battle mage is quite powerful. You can use heavy armor as well. I'll be going over gear and what skills we covered in this video, as well as the best race selections and all of that. But it's a whole lot of fun because magic's very powerful in Oblivion, so you can really get the benefits of both being a attacker in melee, but also being a spellcaster. So there's a lot of cool things we can do in Oblivion, and I'll be taking you through how to make a very powerful battle mage. Naturally, the best race selection would probably be the Dark Elf, giving themselves that 75% resistance to fire magic. It just makes sense thematically. They're also pretty skilled with destruction magic, sword and bow, so they get bonuses to those skills. I, however, think the Breton is the best choice for pretty much anything in this game because they get a plus 50 to their magicka, and they also take 50% less magic damage, making them very tanky as well. So this fits perfectly for a battle mage type character. The High Elf's nice, but they do take more damage from Fire, Frost, and Shock. But they do get a plus 100 to their magicka, so if you're really trying to min-max the amount of damage or magicka that you can get, this would be the way to do it. Another good choice would be like the Red Guard. They get a little bit extra constitution. The Orc, another not bad choice. They get a 25% magicka resistance, and they also get the Berserker Rage, but this would be more so if you wanted to focus on melee attacks. The Orc gets resistance to cold damage, so they can actually fit well here too if you want to focus on fire. Thinking thematically, the cold damage resistance is going to be a nice ability there. But I think the Breton or the Dark Elf are our best options. For Birthsigns, there's a few standouts. The Atronach here gives you the fortified magicka, so plus 150 to your magicka, and you have a 50% chance of absorbing spells that are cast at you, but you can't regenerate magicka yourself, so you'd have to be reliant on like alchemy to create your own sorcery potions. It's a fun playstyle if you like it, but if not, the Lord's a good option for anyone because the increased armor rating by 15 is massive early in the game, and also you get a 15% magicka resistance too, which can be pretty useful. It stacks with the Breton. The Lady's another good choice because the Fortified Willpower will give you a faster magicka recovery rate, and Fortified Endurance will give you more health, so that can be good too if you're just looking for survivability. The Mage, a really good option as well. Battle Mage, it makes sense. This gives you a plus 50 to your magicka with no downside. The Apprentice gives you that plus 100 to magicka, but you take double magic damage. Not that great. The Thief for the plus 10 luck is also a good option, but I would say that the best would be the Lady, the Mage, the Lord, and the Atronach if you like this certain play style. So the Battle Mage here has its own class. We don't want to use that. We want to actually make our own one. If you select over the Battle Mage and you create a custom class, it's going to keep that icon there. Now, specialization, we're going in on magic. Combat can be good too, but this will give us a plus 5 bonus and increase those skills more rapidly, so magic is a good one to go with. Now for our favorite attributes and leveling guide. It's best to go around our willpower and intelligence for maximum amounts of magicka. This is going to be good for survivability, or good for being able to cast a lot of spells, but for survivability, it's endurance that we want to focus on as well. Now, they did change how endurance works in this game. You no longer have to max it out first to be able to be a little bit more survivable, but it's still nice to have early in the game. I also think taking luck's good because this does take 4 points to increase every time you level up. You get 12 points to apply to your skills, and four of them to level up your luck once is kind of a rough one. But intelligence and willpower, or intelligence and endurance, or endurance and willpower, these would be the top 3 skills. So you want to max out your endurance and intelligence as quickly as possible to cast more spells and survive longer. And then also put points into your willpower. You can even stagger them, keep it boosting your intelligence up to maximum, and then going with endurance and willpower till you get your endurance and willpower up equally. If you find you need more ability to cast spells, put this up to regenerate magicka quicker, and then endurance if you need more health. So it'd be those two stats we'll be focusing on. Now for the skills of the Battle Mage. we're going to be going heavily in on our magic skills here. So I would recommend, obviously, Destruction. It's going to be a core principle of this build. We got the ability to weaken. As you saw there, we can apply a weaken to Magicka. And then this also gives us our Fire, Frost, and Shock spells. And we're going to be focusing on fire damage in particular. Conjuration, it's the best skill in the game, because at higher difficulties, if you want to play a Master, you're going to do 0.167 times the amount of damage. However, your conjured creatures don't get that same downside, so they can deal a lot more damage than you can. On top of that, Restoration is a good one to have. It's a battle mage. You got to be able to cast and also keep yourself alive. Alchemy is good too. Going into combat though, I think heavy armor, blade, and block are 3 solid skills to take. So blade giving you the ability to attack with weapons. I think blade's a little bit better than blunt personally. There's just better blade weapons. You can also find some good ones that'll give you reduction to the amount of damage, or give you weakened Magicka abilities to apply to the enemy so you can cast spells and deal more damage to them. Block keeps you alive, so it's a good skill to have. And heavy armor, I feel, fits more thematically, but if you prefer light armor, you can go with it. It's going to slow you down early on in the game, but eventually it won't bother you as much, but it's your personal preference. If you like Daedric armors look better, go with heavy armor. If you like glass armors look better, go with light armor. It's kind of simple as that. Heavy armor is better though, so I'm going to focus on that. I also think armor is a good skill to take. We can also go into here and take the sneak skill if you really want that, or marksman if you want different. I like having a bow with Magicka steel, but you don't have to do that. I think that alchemy is probably the best, because then we can make more sorcery potions to cast more spells. And then also make healing potions, so we don't have to fully rely on our restoration. Although we can absorb attributes, absorb things with restoration too, so it's not just about healing. So I think, all in all, the blade, block, heavy armor skills, and then for magic, alchemy, conjuration, destruction, and restoration is what works best. So what this all looks like. So when it comes to combat, we want to use the weaken to Magicka spells that we created there, and then that's going to give them, we're going to be able to deal extra amounts of damage to them. You can see there, we cast one weakness to Magicka and then follow it up with a fireball that we've created ourselves. You can see it's going to do a ton of damage to them. There we go. We're taking them out in a couple shots. Now the thing is, they actually work a little bit funny. So when it looks like, I guess I'll show off some of the magic spells. So this one here, weakness to magic 100% and weakness to fire 100%. They oddly work in a funny way where it doubles the amount, so you get like 4 times extra. Now this only costs 26 Magicka if you have it for 7 seconds, so that's pretty effective, because you're going to do this and cast a couple spells. I find that's the perfect amount of time to be able to, you know, take someone out using that. I also like to have a fire damage spell, because this is going to be fire damage focus. It's a fire flame battle mage. So 30 points over 2 seconds. Usually casting this and then following up with that is going to be enough to take anyone out. So you can hot bind those keys. Now I also want to make a point that the putting damage on shock and fire, oddly enough, only fire and shock have a unique animation, and this was true for the original. So if you put fire and frost, like I'll show you this, it only has this frost bolt appearance. However, if we were to use like the fire and shock one here, this actually has it has its unique appearance of being a fireball with lightning around it. So I like that just for the theming of that, but we're also just going to be using our magic spell here. I really do just think that 30 points for 2 seconds is going to be able to take out most enemies and not cost too much Magicka. And also strong potions of sorcery are going to be your best friend, because this does drink Magicka like crazy. I also like to make my own custom weapons. So this is the Dragon Longsword, doing fire damage on strike 20 points and also a 20% weakness of fire on strike. Then also the Fire Dagger, which gives 50% weakness to fire on strike for 10 seconds, and then fire damage over 1 second, 15 points. So what this ends up doing is we can go in and attack, and then, you know, we're going to be taking out the enemy with the blade, but also giving a weakness, so if we need to run away and cast spells, we can do it. I also like to have this here, which has Absorb Magicka on it. 50 points, absorb Magicka on strike. So if you're out of Magicka, you can use this bow. I think this is a cool combination. So you can do your casting, and then anytime that you see someone here, you can go ahead with just knocking an arrow and getting your Magicka back, and also sometimes paralyzing them, because this game is funny with how that works. So yeah, you can just continually spam your spells here, the damage over time, while they're knocked out from the bow. And then once they get back up, you're going to hit them with that Absorb Magicka, and this will give you your magic back, which is super nice, especially if you're going to be using some of these abilities here, not aiming the best. So that gives the weakness to Magicka, and then you're just going to cast a couple of these spells. And yeah, it looks like they're... Oh, I forgot to swap the spell there. So we got them weakness to Magicka built up, and that's just going to be able to... Yeah, they ragdoll because it just one-shots them at that point. So the combination works very, very well. So again, the way we want to do this is apply our weakness to Magicka. So you're just going to cast that on them and then follow up with your fireballs after the fact. Oh, we took them out just with that. So again, following up weakness to Magicka, cast that on them and then followed up with a fire spell. And it's likely going to take them out in just one shot like that. Now our biggest issue is dealing with anything that has fire resistance. So Daedra are pretty good at it, but we can always ignore that with our weakness to Magicka spell. So putting all these things together, you should be a very powerful class in Oblivion just due to these two spells here, the weakness of fire and then your own fireball spell. You can obviously scale this depending on where you're at in the game, but it works very good and it hits hard. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments as well. Hope you have a great day and we'll see you all in the next video. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed.